Alpha.
Hey Nora, how are you?
It's been another week.
Yes, it has. Fast
Good
and
to see
fast.
you. How are you doing? Your hair looks lovely. It's so
Oh,
long.
it has grown. It has grown. It grows because I don't do anything with it. Like I said, I call it neglect, and it just grows and I ignore it.
Well, keep neglecting it because it looks great. Look at mine. It looks crazy. I just got back from the grocery store and I just kind of put it up this morning. And then I realized that I don't know if you can see this. Can you see my neck is kind of reddish here?
Yeah, I see a little red.
Well, okay. I used Neutrogena, which has a little bit of retinol in it. Yeah,
Oh,
retinol.
mhm.
And I've used it before on my face and nothing happens. And then last night I thought, oh, let me just rub this all over the place. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah.
And then last night I felt like a burning sensation all over my neck. And I was like, what the heck? So I got up and I washed my neck to try and take it off. But I think it had already kind of soaked in. So if you use that, be careful. But um, so the only thing that kind of calms down the pain, it's kind of like a burn. Well, it is a burn is
Yeah.
what is it? What did I put on it? It's an ointment. It's a Neosporin. Neosporin.
Oh,
I couldn't
wow.
remember what it is. That's the only thing because I Googled it, and Neosporin is the only thing that will kind of calm down a chemical burn because that's basically what it is. And so it's like all red. So if I look kind of shiny over here, it's not sweaty. It's just the Neosporin.
Just a chemical burn. That's all it is.
And that's all. It's just a chemical burn. And I thought, well, maybe it'll get rid of like all these wrinkles on my neck. And well, I don't know what's worse now, the wrinkles or the burn. uh,
There is that procedure people do where they burn off their face, that microdermabrasion,
oh, I don't know about that. I'd be too scared. I
I
don't
know.
know.
And they're like
Yeah.
completely red and, burned off
Yeah.
face for, I think, movie
My
stars.
face is always red anyway. I can imagine that if I did that, oh my God, then I'd be really, and it's, I don't know, kind of like rosacea, I guess. I don't know. It's always
Okay.
kind of reddish.
Oh,
So no, that would not be good for me at all.
well, you might have sensitive skin. And I guess you have sensitive skin because that shouldn't
Um,
affect you that way. Or maybe you're allergic to something in the product. I don't know.
That could be too. I don't know. Well, you know what I've seen on all these YouTube people that use this stuff is they say, be careful when you use it on your neck. Rub it together with like lotion or something else so
Okay.
it's not so strong. But did Nora do that? I
Nora
thought,
makes up
no,
her
let's
own
make it
rules.
as strong as possible. So let's get rid of these wrinkles. But
Wait a
anyway,
minute. Did you use the stuff that they were talking about that Peter Roth Thomas, where you put it on like this area and it takes all your wrinkles away? Have you heard seen?
oh no, I have tried that. Just somebody was trying to sell it to me and they came here and it was a whole demonstration. I didn't like it because it just, yeah, if your face is stiff, you're fine. You're not going to see any wrinkles.
Yeah.
But the second you smile, it all cracks, like when you wear too much powder and then it just all cracks. And I was like, I'm not going to buy this. And, the person who was trying to sell it to me, but look, 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 it looks so great. I'm like, no, no, it doesn't, So no, I know what you're talking about, but no, I didn't buy
You have to
that.
go around and not smile and just have this serious mad face the whole time, I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Well,
So no, that would be no fun.
the infomercials on Facebook look amazing. People's their puffiness under their eyes just instantly disappear. And
And it does, but if you'll notice, none of them smile because if they smile, then it's like all the crow's feet and everything comes back.
oh, okay. It does say to keep your face very still during that process of when it's drying or something like
Yeah.
that. And now there's like a new tinted version as well where it's tinted. I've never tried it, but I feel like, wow, I mean, there's night and day difference when people use it.
Well, yeah, try it and then tell me what happens when you smile. Oh, I don't know. Oh, so we're almost closer. We're getting closer to our trip into seeing each other again
Yeah.
in Dallas, which is coming up next month. We will be traveling. I'll be traveling from San Antonio. You'll be traveling from Georgia, and we will meet in the Dallas area. So
Yeah.
that'll be nice.
That's very exciting. I'm very excited about that. Looking forward to that trip. I'm just looking forward to be gone from work for a while. Work is
Oh,
so
yes.
overwhelming at
Yeah.
times. But, I think that the good thing recently is that I've been using the things that we're learning in the book to kind of deal with work. Because certainly I've mentioned it too on a previous on a previous video, there's the book we're reading or I'm
There's
listening
our book.
to. There's our book. But even this week, we had a board meeting, and my VP said, we don't have to present anything on volunteers this board meeting. And we have quarterly board meetings, and so we didn't. But I'm hearing everybody, all the program managers are talking about how wonderful their programs are, and they are, and all the work that they do. And they don't mention volunteers in it, even though our organization is like 75% volunteer run, and then we have a handful of staff members. I mean, we
Yeah.
have about 100 staff members, and we have currently in our system just under 8,000 volunteers volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our volunteers are very important to us. But anyway, nobody really mentions volunteers, and I'm taking it personal. My ego's kicking in, and I'm feeling it like, how dare them not say volunteers? But I think they're waiting for us to talk about volunteers, and she said we were not going to talk about them for some reason. So, but then I had to stop and think, okay, why is this bothering me at this moment?
Yes. And that's exactly what he says in this chapter. That's like a big step. If you can actually stop and recognize that you're
Yes.
doing it, that it's bothering you because you're like, wow, how dare they not, then
Yes.
that's your ego. And if you recognize that, you're already steps ahead of everybody else.
And also that being in the present moment also just makes you aware of what is really important. I mean, here I was more attuned to like the stories, listening to what was going on.
Hmm.
And then I released it. I didn't carry that home with me and thinking, how dare them? Like I probably would have in the past and been
Hmm.
up late in the night or in the middle of the night thinking, what?
Hmm.
So I did. I started, and then I started giving them other thoughts like, well, maybe they're trying to really bring home their need for more staff members. And if I talk about volunteers can do all these jobs and they can't get new staff members. So I kind of had to think about it from their perspective as well, instead of just thinking about it for how I was feeling during the middle of it. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think it is a very important awakening where you
Hmm.
stop thinking with your ego and start
Hmm.
with your, like you said, living in the present moment and
Right.
living it with your what's really going on and
Hmm.
noticing it instead of and your ego, like this chapter 3 is talking about how combative your ego is and how it's it's basically I sum it up with saying like it's always looking for a fight.
Yeah, it's interesting. And he kind of talks about like it's almost like a mask over you, and this mask is like, oh, my possessions, oh, I need this or I need
Yeah,
that, or I'm better than them and this and that. So he's like, just pull that off, that mask off. And if you take off that layer, then it's just you, and you realize, just like you were saying, you have to be happy in your moment, in your
right.
present. And it's just so, so important that those possessions and everything else, not that important.
They don't matter. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the summary of chapter 3, which I found, says that the ego craves control and superiority and validation and judgment, and that it uses complaining like I'm better than this person, or we're better, or our religion is better than this other religion, just to make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
And I don't think people even do it really. They're not doing it consciously anymore, and that's what the awakening is that if you're awake and consciously we're thinking about some of the things, feeling or thoughts that
Mhm.
maybe we wouldn't do those. But I had my granddaughter over on Saturday. She spent the night. And on Sunday morning, she always is kind of in control of everything we do. She's 8, but she was, bossing us around to, well, here's the game we're playing, here's how we play it, and stuff like that. And we were doing it. And then I was making pancakes. So I heard her kind of screaming from the basement. And I went down and I said, "What's going on?" And she was just controlling her and my husband, her grandfather, were playing a game together. But I was like, I talked to her and I said, not everybody wants to be, and she's very controlling. And I said, not everybody wants to be controlled with everything, told how to play a game, every step you're going to be doing. It's not fun for everybody when you're always in charge. And
Yeah.
it hit an emotional nerve in her, and she started crying. And I felt bad that I had made her cry.
No, bad grandmother.
I know, I'm terrible. And she said, I just want to go home. And I'm thinking, oh
Oh
God, what is
no,
my
gotta
daughter
fix
gonna
it. Here's a cupcake. Here, feel better.
exactly what I wanted
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
But I just said, I love that you're such a leader and that you're so like strong and independent. But I'm just worried that if you're always telling other people what to do, at some point people may not like that and feel like you're not really their friend. You're just kind of, I hate to use the word, but too bossy. And I used the word with her. And like I said, it didn't really go over well with her.
Oh,
She's eight.
no.
She's eight. And I feel like
Yeah,
maybe sometimes we have to learn it early or at all stages of our life. Sometimes those hard words that we're hearing hurt
yeah.
because we're so used to being
But you know what? But she's so little though. But I think that kind of I can remember that happening to me and one of my sisters telling me, why are you doing that? Why are you acting like that? And I don't think I was being bossy. I just thought I was better than everybody for some crazy reason. As a teenager, you just think you're better than everybody. And I remember her telling me that. And at the moment, I was like, what? Like I am better or
you don't know
whatever.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it to her, but in my mind, my ego was saying, you're wrong, lady. But
Yeah.
um, I reflected on it
Mhm.
later in the day, and I realized, oh, am I coming across ugly like that? This was me, not your granddaughter. I'm not saying she was coming across like ugly. I'm saying
Yeah.
I felt like that, and I reflected on that, and it made me kind of switch. And I thought, okay, I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
good.
it's
That's good.
yeah, so it was good, because at the time, and I hadn't even read this little book, but at
I
the time
know.
it was my ego that was, taking over. But I wonder if like when we're younger, like in high school and that, if our ego is like it's running rampant, we just think
Yeah.
we're all that, we're the best dancers or we have the best, car or or we have the best date or whatever, just because we're young.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And I think that's what society is telling us to be the best dancer, to be the best, looking or
to
whatever.
be at all the best parties and this and that and
Yeah.
in reality
That's
it
not really
doesn't
what
really
matters.
matter, but yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think, and that's what this chapter was talking about, how
Hmm.
other people use judgment against others. Well, I'm better than because I
Hmm.
never drive this car, or I have the better job, or the complaining. Like these, everything is about how to make the ego is trying to make itself better than another
Yes.
person. And
Yeah,
so the ego is quick to help you feel like they're bad, you're good. And
you're good. Yeah.
yeah, that's what this chapter is really talking about, how to
Mhm.
move away from that and to be
Yeah.
in the present moment.
Yeah.
Um, and that can be
I
hard.
wonder if there's a way to help ourselves. I mean, like you were able to recognize it, but yeah, I don't know if it's happened to me like while it's happening, and then that I can like almost pump the brakes, in my brain and think, okay, you know,
Yeah.
pull back a little bit. You're being a little too much.
I think it'd be hard and it depends on the moment. Like definitely I think about like if somebody was being mean to my grandchildren and I had to stand up and be or feel like they're being judging them or being rude to them, I probably would react differently than when I was in an office setting and I was just listening to everybody and trying to figure out why is this bothering me? Okay. And I'm probably not listening anymore to the presentation. I'm
Hmm.
just like, okay, let me do some figuring out why this is. But yeah, I think it's not easy because,
No.
and it did say, the first thing that I wrote down was it said, the ego does not equal you. And it talks, of course, like their thoughts and emotions are from the ego, but they don't have to equal you. It's and the I versus them, criticizing others or whatever is all ego related. And
Hmm.
but that is hard. I think it is something, and I think that's why the book is many chapters because it's going to take us many chapters before this really sinks in and
But I think that each time we read a chapter, we kind of, we're
yeah.
kind of like, oh, this is what it is. Or maybe it makes you kind of reflect on, oh, yeah, I did do that, or I have done that, or, this is the way to kind of stop this. So I think it's helpful.
Well, and like we were talking about in previous show about how we don't understand how countries that fight about a religion, like my religion is better than your religion, we don't understand that. they're caught in the middle of it. They're doing it, and as observers, we're like, why? But
Mhm.
things that are happening in our own lives, we not may not be able to see as clearly unless you're on the other side of it. So,
Mhm.
but I think that's what the book is really talking about. How do you awaken to be in the present moment?
In the present moment. And I think, like you were talking about religion, to be able to accept,
Mhm.
and not feel like, no, like you said, my religion is better than yours, or my shoes are better than yours, or my sneakers are, this price, or yours are from Walmart or whatever, which mine are from Walmart. It's like we have to kind of get away from that. So
Yeah.
it's,
Because what does it really matter? I mean, why would it matter? Why is it more important that, this person, where is the comparison? What does the comparison really equal? And the comparison just really equals your ego, feeling better than others. You put yourself
yes.
above this class. And I remember where people used to always say, well, those people, when they would be talking about some of our clients or something. And that would bother me because I'd be like, anybody could fall into any of the situations. Our clients are, struggling to pay their rent, or they can't pay their utilities and they're coming to us
Mhm.
for support, or they
Mhm.
become homeless. And
Yes.
the
And
truth,
that can happen to anybody.
it
Yeah.
can happen to anybody.
Like they say, a lot of people are a paycheck away. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But when you have the mentality that, well, that's not me, that's them,
that's them.
your ego is basically saying, I'm better than them
Yeah.
because that hasn't happened to me. And it's like more like, well, thank goodness you've made good decisions and you've been on a different path and thank goodness it
But
hasn't happened to you.
yeah, that's true.
You're
But I mean,
better than them.
you can make good decisions and things still happen. You can
Yeah.
have health issues, and that you can't go to work anymore, and all of a sudden you don't have insurance, you don't have this, you don't have that.
You
Things
know,
just happen. You're in a marriage for many, many years, you have a divorce, and then all of a sudden you're on your own and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? So even though
yeah.
maybe someone may start out making the right decisions, then things can happen. So yeah, we need to not look at people differently in that way, but I know it's hard.
Life happens, definitely. One of the things, and I'm going to change gears, but I have been watching Joe Good, who I know you're a fan of, uh,
Yes,
who is a YouTuber in London. And I love watching her. And the
I do
reason
too.
is because in her younger years, she was a like radio broadcaster.
And
And
she was on a soap opera too. She
oh,
was a
was
soap
she?
star. Yeah, she was a soap star.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen where she shows like clips and I didn't even recognize her because she's like so young in these clips,
yes.
and she was somebody's sister or something like that on the soap
Okay.
opera. But yeah, I go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but yes, I
No.
enjoy watching her so much. I look forward to Sunday mornings, my coffee and Joe Good. Yeah.
I love that, she's older now. She's in her 70s, but she's still like she is living her full life. She's
Mhm.
in the present moment of whatever is happening.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's who I want to be. I want to be somebody who's alive every day. Not it doesn't she doesn't work anymore, but she still goes out and sees friends out in the town, or she has some social event or this, with her from her past experiences or whatever. But
Mhm.
I just feel like she's the role model of just living life happy,
Mhm.
going along, not, like she's not a recluse in her little apartment. She's out there
No.
living. And
And,
I know that
and
sometimes that's hard for people as they retire. They start to withdraw and be, isolated in their own little house. But there's a whole world out there. Get out there, take
yes.
a walk and see new.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
Yes. And a lot of times when she does go out, it amazes me that she goes out with all these young people,
Yeah, she does.
because people her age are maybe, sitting in a rocking chair or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's like all these young people around her, and she says, they're my friends. And
Yeah.
she goes out and she laughs and she has a good time. And then she says, okay, I have to go home and see Myrtle, which is a doggy.
Yeah.
She goes home to see Myrtle, and then she goes on the roof and she just kind of gets some fresh air and then comes
Yeah.
back inside. Yeah, she's awesome.
And that's the beauty of her life is just she's just living. And then
Yeah.
another I watch a Ukrainian family. There's a single lady and there's a family living the Ukraine. They live in the mountains and they just tape them just doing whatever they're doing. Most of the time they're just cooking and putting wood inside the stove, which, is their
I
cooking.
think
And
I've seen that. Is it like almost looks like a little? a little cabin or something that
Yep.
they live in?
Mhm. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I
They're
didn't really like that, but okay. I know.
What I like about it is it's a beautiful area where they live. And their life is pretty modest. I mean, like they don't show a lot of activity and it's this the one with the family is just around cooking and the little children, getting home from school or whatever, but it's like you have to live and make the best of wherever you live. And I'm just like, I don't think she realized what a beautiful area. We all travel there for vacations to see the beauty where she
The beautiful
naturally
area.
lives. But at the same time, it's all she knows. And she doesn't seem like the happiest person in the world, but I think that's okay too. She's just living her life and being who both of the ladies that I watch are just, making it happen for their families or themselves. And
Mhm.
but it
Mhm.
gives me a different perspective of life. It's like you don't have to have a mansion to be happy. They're living in this
Right.
beautiful place and they're happy and they've got their children around them or they don't have
Mhm.
any children, but they keep
Mhm.
busy doing their own thing. And it's like,
Mhm.
how do you just embrace what you have around you and realize it's enough?
Sometimes it's easy to forget that it is enough, you know. Sometimes you think, no, if only I had that better kitchen, you know, or if the
Exactly.
floor, or if I had that wallpaper that they keep showing, you know, that not what is it, the non-stick or whatever that you
Yeah.
could peel and stick. I don't know.
Right.
I've had that in my mind where I'm like, okay, I've got to see this. Then I saw, I guess it was somebody on YouTube, and they were showing where you can use Chat GPT to take a picture of like your living room and
Oh,
then ask it to put in like a beautiful color of wallpaper or whatever. And then it'll show you what your room will look like with that wallpaper. And so I've got that in my head and I'm like, you know, if I had that wallpaper, you know, but in reality, you know, it's not the wallpaper that makes you, you know, happy or anything else. You know, it's just the ego thinking, oh, and then my friends will come over and they'll see this pretty wallpaper, you know. So yeah, no, it's
well, and
that's
I
not
think
it.
that if the wallpaper makes you feel happier, like if I always think if I was single and didn't have a husband, I would paint all my house pink and have pink, drapes. And I think that, and I see this pretty pink picture, and I think, oh, that'd be so pretty. I probably really wouldn't do that, but I feel like it looks pretty. And I feel like that would make me happy, but
Mhm.
probably it'd be too much pink. But if you have an interest in painting something that color, it's
Yeah.
not what the bad part is when you think, oh, then my house will be prettier than my next door neighbors or my friends. That's when the
Mhm.
ego has
Yeah.
stepped. But if you're
Yeah.
doing it
That's
for
true.
you because you think it'll make you feel warm and
Mhm.
cozy and
Mhm.
at home in your home, then
And yeah, you're right. And that's okay because I've always thought that your home, you should be most comfortable in your home,
yeah,
whether it's, you know, a chair that you just love and you, even if it, you know, was a little pricey or whatever, but you saved up to buy that chair because you really wanted that chair because it was like the comfiest chair, you know, or whatever it is. So, or a painting or whatever. But yeah, I think that's important. So,
yeah.
and that's okay. I don't think that's like ego. That's like, I just want to be comfortable in my life. You know, I want to have that chair. Not that I have a comfortable chair, but if I wanted one, you know, I'd save
Exactly.
up for it.
That's right. Not because you saw it on Instagram and everybody on Instagram has this chair, so I have to buy this same chair. No, it's about if it makes you happy and you feel good about it and
Yeah.
it gives you
But
pleasure,
I
happiness.
have to admit, I have been, you know, I do buy some things that I see on Instagram or like I see different YouTubers and you know, sometimes I think, yeah, if I have that, you know, I don't know, we kind of went over this the last time, but if I have that, you know, my skin will look better, you know, or my wrinkles will be gone instead of being burnt off.
But instead, you get a chemical reaction.
Yes. I
Poor thing.
got something out of it, so
Oh gosh. Well, I know, I know. It's hard. I mean, that's a difficult situation. So,
yeah. I don't know. I haven't really looked forward to or not that I haven't looked forward, but I mean, I haven't gone to like the next chapter and see what it's kind of about. So I don't know. Have you read on or have
I have
you
not. I mean,
listened to?
I think originally I had listened all the way through of like chapter 4 or 5, but then I've gone backwards now to be up to date with for our shows, so I've
Yeah.
lost track of where I
And
was.
it's kind of like you have to read and reread, right? It's not just
That-
something that you can just read through and you're like, okay, I got it. No, you
Right.
know, it's like you really have to think about it. And I think that's what
Yeah.
I'm kind of enjoying the most is that you really have to like,
Mm.
oh, you know, after I read it like 100 times, then I'm like, that's what he's trying to say. So, but
Yeah,
chapter
exactly.
Chapter 4 says role playing the many faces of the ego. So that should be interesting. So
That's
I'm thinking that's going to be like, oh, like somebody that role plays like their family life or whatever is just perfect and so much better than everybody else's. Like they're role playing to the rest of the world. That's what I think it's going to be about. Could
yeah.
be totally wrong. We'll find out.
We'll find out. There you go.
Yeah.
Next week, chapter 4.
Yes,
We're moving
exactly.
along. Well, yeah, I think that's one of the things I don't like about just listening is that I have to write notes for myself. Um, and that's the hard part is that I can't just underline something and go back and read it. I
Yeah.
have to like
Yeah.
jot
And
it
I
down
think
or
it's just
listen.
for me, it's easier that, that I can highlight or underline, or I'll grab a post-it and I'll write something down like, okay, I
Mhm.
want to remember this and I stick it on there. To me, that's easier than just
Yeah.
listening. To me, that's harder. So I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, I think it's we continue to like the chapters and we're learning from it and absorbing it slowly. So we'll keep going.
We're getting there. Hopefully by
Yeah,
the end, we will be like these perfect people.
we'll be masters at this.
Yeah. Masters of no ego. I don't know about that, but anyway.
That would be nice. Hopefully so. Well, yeah, and he says a lot of things that are like little quotes, like, you know, whatever, these little sayings, and you're like, should I write that down? Is that something that's important? But it's a really good book. I think it's highly recommended. People read it and absorb it themselves, and
Mhm.
everybody probably absorbs it differently. But yeah, it's
Yeah, that's true. I think that, you read it, I read it, and you probably read it and, understand it a little bit differently than maybe I do. Cause like for me, the next chapter, that's what I thought it's going to be. But, again, it might be something totally different. It may be, and you may read it and you may be like, oh, that's not it, So
well, we'll wait and see. Well, hello, Mr. Richard. He's
Well,
covering his face like this. We see.
oh, say hi.
hello,
Hi.
hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh,
It's so
you're
nice
hot.
to
Look,
see
No,
you.
I got a chemical burn. I was telling Nova. If you
chemical
could
burn from what?
well, I was trying to get rid of some wrinkles and I
Oh
put
my
on
God.
this it's like a lotion thing with retin in it, and then oh my god, it just burnt my whole neck. So I had to
Oh,
put on this neosporin all over the place. So I'm not sweaty. Richard's like, oh, you're hot. Why are you so hot? And I'm like, no, no, no. It's just
Lucy, come on,
oh
girl.
anyway.
maybe he meant like in, the way like you're so beautiful, that kind of thing.
Oh, is that what you meant?
Exactly.
It says exactly.
Exactly. Let's give
Let's go with that.
yeah,
Sure.
let's go.
Oh,
All right. Well, you continue to have a good night. I guess we'll end here and look forward to talking to you next week and
yes.
discussing chapter 4.
Yes. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Sounds good.
And we're getting closer and closer to our meeting, so that'll be great.
Yes, we
Dallas, here
can't
we
wait.
come. Yes.
Dallas, here we come, September. Yes, we're headed that
And
way.
we'll have
Yes,
a lot more video once we're there.
that's right. That's right, for sure. All
Yes.
right. We'll
Okay.
talk
Well, take
soon.
care.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Bye bye.